Picture this. You walk into someone's house and before you even see the living room, you already feel something. It smells like a spa retreat mixed with a botanical garden, and you have no idea why. No candles burning. No diffuser humming in the corner. Just plants. Ordinary-looking plants sitting quietly on a windowsill, doing something most homeowners have no clue they're capable of. Here's the twist though. The plant that's about to top this list isn't some rare greenhouse find you need to hunt down online. It's something you've probably walked past 100 times at your local nursery, and never once thought to bring home. By the time we get to number 1, you're going to wonder how you missed it for this long. Stick around because plant number 3 completely changes how you'll think about your bedroom, and the last one on this list works so well that some growers actually keep it away from their front door because visitors won't stop asking about it. And somewhere in the middle there's a plant that most people only associate with expensive spa trips, until they realize they've had access to that same experience the entire time, sitting quietly in a pot waiting to be noticed. By the end of this video, you're not just going to know 5 plants. You're going to look at your own home differently, wondering what your space could smell like if you made 1 or 2 small changes. Hey there, welcome back to Gentle Greens, the place where growing a beautiful home doesn't have to drain your wallet. If this is your first time here, I'm glad you found us. We're all about simple garden wins, budget-friendly tips, and turning your space into something you're proud of without spending money you don't have. This channel exists because I got tired of watching people believe that a beautiful, good-smelling home was something only reserved for those with big budgets and fancy interior designers. That's simply not true, and every single video here is proof of that. And if you've been here before, watching every video, trying out every tip, you already know exactly what kind of ride this is going to be. So let's get comfortable, because today's topic might just become one of your new favorite home upgrades. Grab a drink, get cozy because we've got a lot to cover and none of it is boring. Before we dive in, if you're new here, consider sticking around for the rest of this channel. We post practical, no-fuss garden content that actually works, not just theory that sounds nice on paper. This isn't a channel built on fancy Latin names and complicated instructions you'll forget 5 minutes later. Everything here is meant to be simple enough that you could start today if you wanted to. And if you've enjoyed our videos before, you know what to do. Now let's get into these 5 plants that are about to change the way your entire home smells. Plant number 5, rosemary. Let's start with something that's probably already sitting in your kitchen cupboard, dried up in a little jar, doing absolutely nothing exciting. Rosemary. Now before you scroll past thinking, I know rosemary, it's just a cooking herb, let me stop you right there. Because what most people never learn is that rosemary, when it's alive and growing in a pot, releases a scent that's nothing like the dried version sitting in your spice rack. It's sharper, woodier, almost like a walk through a pine forest mixed with something faintly sweet. Here's the part that surprises people the most. You don't need a garden. You don't need special soil. A rosemary plant can sit happily on a sunny kitchen counter, and every single time you brush past it, even just lightly, it releases its scent into the air. No spray, no plug-in. Just a plant doing what it naturally does. Think about it this way. Every time you reach for a pan, every time you walk to your sink, every time you grab a snack from the counter, you're triggering a tiny release of fragrance without lifting a finger. It's the closest thing to a free self-refilling air freshener that nature offers, and it happens to taste amazing in your cooking too. And for those of us watching our budget, rosemary is about as low maintenance as it gets. It actually prefers to be left alone a little. Overwatering is the main way people kill it, not neglect. So if you've ever felt like you have a black thumb, this might be the plant that finally proves you wrong. Rosemary actually grows better in soil that dries out between waterings, which means fewer chores for you and a plant that thrives on being somewhat ignored. There's also something satisfying about a plant that gives back in more than one way. While it's filling your kitchen with fragrance, you're also growing a fresh herb you'd otherwise be spending money on at the grocery store every single week. That's 2 problems solved with 1 small pot. Quick tip before we move on. Place it somewhere it'll get bumped occasionally, like near a doorway or a walking path in your kitchen. The more it gets brushed against, the more fragrance it releases. It's basically working for you without you doing anything extra. Some growers even keep a small pot right by the sink, so every time they wash their hands, a bit of that woodsy scent lifts into the air. Plant number 4. Scented geranium. Now this next one is going to sound unfamiliar to a lot of you, but stay with me because once I describe it, you'll realize you've smelled it somewhere before without even knowing what it was. Scented geraniums. These aren't the bright red geraniums you see lined up outside grocery stores. These are their quieter cousins, grown specifically for their leaves rather than their flowers. And depending on which one you pick, they can smell like lemon, mint, apple, or even rose. Rub a leaf between your fingers and the scent transfers straight onto your skin. Here's something most people don't realize until they try it themselves. Unlike flowers that release scent constantly into the air, scented geraniums are what you'd call a touch-activated fragrance. The leaves hold tiny oil glands and it takes contact, even something as light as brushing past with your sleeve, to release that smell. Which means you get to choose exactly when your home smells amazing, simply by walking past and giving the leaves a gentle touch. This is where it gets interesting for anyone trying to save money. A lot of expensive candles and room sprays you see in stores are literally trying to recreate the exact smell that this plant produces naturally, for free every single day it's alive. Some perfume companies have even built entire product lines chasing the exact scent this plant gives away without asking for anything in return. You're basically growing your own air freshener. Except it also happens to be a beautiful plant that adds life to your space. They thrive in bright light, don't need much water, and honestly, they forgive you if you forget about them for a few days. Which, let's be honest, most of us do sometimes. If you're someone who has killed a plant or two in the past simply because life got busy, this is one of the more forgiving options on this entire list. Another thing worth mentioning, scented geraniums come in so many varieties that you could genuinely build a small collection. One that smells like lemon by your kitchen window, another that smells like mint near your reading chair, and one that smells like rose by your bedside. That's the kind of customization you'd normally pay a premium for in a home fragrance store. Except here it grows itself. Okay, quick pause here. If you're enjoying this so far and you're already mentally picking out where plant number 5 is going to sit in your home, do me a favor and drop a comment telling me which one has caught your attention the most. I read every single comment, and it genuinely helps me know what to cover next. And if this is bringing value to you, tap that like button. Takes 2 seconds, but it tells me you want more content exactly like this. While you're at it, hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming up on this channel. We've got plenty more budget-friendly garden content on the way, and you don't want to miss it. Alright, let's get back into it because the next plant on this list is one that a lot of sleep experts actually recommend, and I promise you'll want to hear why. Plant number 3, lavender. You've heard of lavender before. Everyone has. It's in soaps, lotions, candles, you name it. But here's what almost nobody talks about. Growing actual lavender in your bedroom does something those store-bought products can't fully copy. It doesn't just smell nice, it actually works with your body. There's a reason lavender shows up so often in conversations about better sleep and calmer evenings. The scent itself has a naturally soothing effect, and having a real plant releasing that fragrance slowly throughout the night is a completely different experience compared to a candle that burns out after a few hours or a diffuser you have to keep refilling. Here's the uncommon part most people miss. Lavender doesn't love sitting in a dark corner of your room. It actually needs a good amount of sunlight to thrive, and to keep producing that fragrance you're after. So the trick is placing it near your brightest window, even if that window happens to be in your bedroom. A lot of people assume plants belong on shelves away from light, but with lavender the opposite is true. Starve it of sunlight and you'll end up with a leggy, weak plant that barely produces any scent at all. Another thing worth knowing, lavender actually prefers slightly poor, well-draining soil over rich, heavily fertilized dirt. It's one of those rare plants that does better when you don't fuss over it too much. Too much love, in the form of extra fertilizer and constant watering, tends to work against it rather than for it. Budget tip here, lavender is one of the easiest plants to grow from a small starter pot. You'll find at almost any nursery for next to nothing. It grows slowly at first, then takes off once it settles in, meaning your one small purchase turns into a full fragrant plant without spending anything extra. And once it's established, you can even snip a few stems, tie them together, and hang them somewhere in your closet or drawer for a natural, long-lasting fragrance that beats anything store-bought. There's also a quiet kind of ritual that comes with having lavender nearby. Some people like to run their fingers gently along the stems before bed, releasing just enough scent to settle the room for the night. It's a small habit, but it turns an ordinary plant into something that actually becomes part of your evening routine. Plant number 2, eucalyptus. This next one might be the biggest surprise on this entire list, because most people only associate it with expensive spa visits or fancy shower steamers you buy in gift shops. Eucalyptus. Here's the trick almost nobody outside of serious plant lovers knows. You don't grow eucalyptus for pretty flowers or bold color. You grow it, hang a few sprigs from your shower head, and let the hot water and steam do the rest. Within minutes, your entire bathroom transforms into something that genuinely feels like a spa, except you paid nothing extra to make it happen. The heat from your shower releases natural oils from the leaves, filling the air with a scent that's fresh, slightly minty, and instantly calming. It's one of those things that sounds almost too simple to actually work, but once you try it, you'll understand exactly why so many people swear by it. There's something about stepping into a hot shower filled with that crisp, clean scent that makes even the most rushed morning feel like a small escape. What makes eucalyptus even more interesting is how differently it behaves compared to the other plants on this list. Most of what we've talked about so far releases scent through touch or through blooming. Eucalyptus needs heat and moisture to really open up its fragrance, which is exactly why the shower method works so well. It's almost like the plant was made for that exact purpose, even though that's simply a happy discovery people stumbled onto over time. And here's the best part for anyone trying to stretch their budget. A single eucalyptus plant can be trimmed regularly, and those trimmings are exactly what you use in your shower. So one plant keeps giving you fresh material for weeks, sometimes months, without you needing to buy anything else. It practically pays for itself the very first time you use it, especially when you consider how much those eucalyptus shower steamers cost at boutique stores. Growing it isn't complicated either. Eucalyptus prefers bright light and doesn't ask for much fuss beyond that. Many people grow it in a pot indoors specifically for this purpose, trimming a few stems whenever they want that spa-like experience, and letting the rest of the plant continue growing for next time. Plant number 1, Gardenia. And now we've made it to the plant that started this entire video. Gardenia. If you've never smelled a gardenia in full bloom, I genuinely don't know how to prepare you for it. It's rich, it's sweet, and it fills a room in a way that feels almost unfair for something so small. A single flower can perfume an entire living room, and it doesn't fade after a few hours like a candle. It keeps going day after day as long as the plant stays healthy. Here's the part 1 mentioned earlier. Some growers genuinely avoid placing gardenias right by their front door, not because there's anything wrong with the plant, but because visitors won't stop commenting on it, asking what it is, where they can get one, why the entryway smells so incredible. It becomes a whole conversation every single time someone walks in. It's the kind of plant that turns first impressions into memorable ones. Now, gardenias do ask for a little more attention than the other plants on this list. They like consistent moisture and slightly acidic soil, and they're happiest in bright, indirect light rather than harsh direct sun. It's not difficult, it just means paying a bit more attention compared to something like rosemary. But for the payoff you get, most growers will tell you it's worth every bit of that extra care. One thing that catches people off guard is how sensitive gardenias can be to sudden changes. Moving the pot around too often, letting the soil dry out completely, or exposing it to cold drafts can cause the buds to drop before they even open. The trick is consistency. Find a spot it likes, keep the watering steady, and resist the urge to keep moving it around your home looking for the perfect angle. And for those of us watching our spending, a small gardenia starter plant is far cheaper than you'd expect, especially when you consider how long a single healthy plant will keep blooming and filling your home with that scent, completely free, season after season. Compare that to constantly buying candles or room sprays trying to chase that same rich, sweet smell, and the gardenia quickly becomes the smarter long-term investment. There's also something worth mentioning for anyone who loves a bit of nostalgia. Gardenia has long been associated with elegance and celebration, often used in bouquets and special occasions. Having one growing quietly in your own living room means you get a small taste of that same luxury every single day, without needing a special occasion to enjoy it. Why plants beat store-bought fragrance? Now before we wrap this up, let's talk about something that ties this entire list together, because I think it's worth pausing on. A lot of us grew up believing that a good-smelling home meant buying something. A candle, a spray, a plug-in warmer that you keep replacing every few weeks. And none of those things are bad, but they all share one problem. They run out. You blow through them and then you're back at the store spending money again on the exact same thing. Plants don't work that way. A living plant doesn't burn down to nothing after 40 hours. It doesn't need refilling. It grows, it produces more of what made you fall in love with it in the first place. And in most cases, it costs less over its lifetime than a single season of candles would. You're not buying fragrance anymore. You're growing it. There's also something to be said about how these plants smell compared to artificial versions. Manufactured fragrances are built to imitate something, and honestly, most of them do a decent job. But there's a depth to a real living scent that's difficult to bottle. It shifts slightly depending on the time of day, the humidity, how recently you watered it. It feels alive because it is, and that subtle difference is something a lot of people notice the very first time they switch from artificial to real. Common mistakes to avoid. Now let's talk about a few mistakes that trip people up when they try this for the first time. Because I don't want you spending money on a plant only to watch it struggle within a few weeks. The first mistake is placement. A lot of people assume any sunny spot will do, but each plant on this list has its own preference. Rosemary and lavender want strong, direct light. Gardenia prefers bright but indirect light. Get this wrong, and you'll end up with a plant that survives but never really thrives, which means less fragrance for you in the end. The second mistake is overwatering. This is probably the #1 killer of fragrant plants, especially rosemary and lavender. Both of them actually prefer their soil to dry out a bit between waterings. If you're someone who likes to water on a strict daily schedule, these plants might struggle. Instead, check the soil first. If it's still damp, leave it alone another day or two. The third mistake is expecting instant results. A tiny starter plant isn't going to fill your entire home with fragrance the day you bring it home. These plants need time to establish themselves, build out their leaves, and start producing at their full potential. Give it a few weeks, sometimes a couple of months, and be patient. The payoff is absolutely worth the wait. And the fourth mistake, probably the most overlooked one, is forgetting that these plants like a little interaction. Several of these, especially rosemary and scented geranium, release more fragrance when they're touched or brushed against. If you tuck them away in a corner where nobody ever walks by, you're missing out on a huge part of what makes them special in the first place. So there you have it. 5 plants, 5 completely different scents, and not a single candle or plug-in required. From rosemary quietly working in your kitchen, to scented geranium letting you choose your fragrance with just a touch, to lavender helping you unwind at night, to eucalyptus turning your shower into something special, all the way to gardenia stealing the spotlight the moment anyone walks through your door. The best part about all of this is that none of it requires a big budget. These are simple, affordable additions that do double duty, making your home look better and smell incredible at the same time. No expensive diffusers to keep refilling, no candles burning down to nothing, just plants doing what they've always done, quietly and consistently, for as long as you take care of them. If there's one thing I want you to take away from this video, it's that a good smelling home was never about how much money you spend. It's about choosing the right living things to bring into your space, giving them a little attention, and letting nature handle the rest. That's the whole philosophy behind this channel. And I hope today's video gave you a fresh way of looking at something as simple as fragrance. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you're subscribed to Gentle Green so you don't miss what's coming next. Drop a like if you learned something new today, and let me know in the comments which one of these 5 you're planting first. I'll see you in the next video.